And we're back with some more oxygen not included. And today, fair warning, there will be some minor war crimes today. Just minor, maybe. You know what? We'll worry about that later. What we're going to cover immediately, though, is oxygen. Last episode, I was mentioning that when it came to water, we only have a certain amount of water on the map available to us, and we're going to need more than that if we want to go up to 141 duplicates. And what we could do is go to a spreadsheet, but I thought, this is YouTube. Let's do it visually. It's a visual medium. This here is a quick visual representation of how much water we're going to need. Right here, this is 10 cycles of water. When we have 141 duplicates, we will need this much water every 10 cycles fed into our electrolyzers to keep them oxygenated. That's how much water we're going to need when we max out. This is currently how much water will be produced every 10 cycles on average by all the vents and geysers on our map. So this is how much water we'll get out of it. And one really good suggestion in the comments is, well, lavatories produce excess water, 6.7 kilos per flush. With all these extra duplicates, we're going to get lots of water, yes? Well, this is how much water they will produce in 10 cycles. So that, we can add to that, and that's how much water we'll have to work with. Then there was two other suggestions. There was the petroleum generator and the natural gas sour gas boiler. Oh, sour gas boiler? Yeah, sour gas boiler. Anyway, the petroleum generator will produce this much in 10 cycles. The sour gas boiler will produce this much. Now, we can only do one or the other because it relies on having the 3 oil wells we currently have, and they can only produce 10 kilos of oil. So after we subtract the cost of keeping the oil wells running, this is how much water we'd get out of each of them as the game goes on. Now, if we were to take, say, this, which is all our vents and geysers, all the water we get from our toilets, and we built a sour gas boiler, we would produce this much water, which, as you can see, is not quite enough to meet our needs. We're still going to be short by quite a substantial margin. So if we're going to do this, we're going to need to magic some water out of some places. Now, the first and most obvious choice is a rocket chimney. We would not need a rocket chimney quite this size. This one's a little bit oversized for what we'd need. This whole thing produces about 30 kilos of water per second, which would put us well over what we need. We currently only need, 15.87 kilos of water. That's all we need in total. So this actually produces twice as much water as we need before it even takes into account vents and geysers. So this would be sheer overkill. But a single rocket chimney, say down the edge of the map, one side or the other, we should really be able to generate an awful lot of water, more than what we could ever possibly need. These things produce about 1,800 kilos of water on launch and landing, just in an area about from here to here. Every single tile that travels beyond that is just even more water. Most of the water you produce, you just convert it right back into oxygen, and the hydrogen you just dump right back into the rocket. They're basically self-powered. However, there is one other solution. However, it's much darker. One little thing that I saw mentioned before, maybe it was on a forum or a post, or maybe it was Reddit, I'm not even sure, but it's to do with gasping mechanics, as in when a duplicate is running out of oxygen, what they do and where they go. And what happens is they run to the nearest pocket of oxygen. In this instance, that nearest pocket of oxygen is up here. And then they start gasping for breath. Now, if you'll notice this bar here, that's their breath going down. That's their reserve oxygen, like their reserve oxygen tank. They're consuming it at 100 grams of oxygen a second. However, when they go up here to recharge, they start consuming oxygen at about 100 grams of oxygen a second, as far as I can tell, but their bar goes up much faster than it goes down. Their bar should only go up at the same speed the bar is going down here, but that's not the case. If you watch them go up here, their bar rapidly recharges really quickly all the way up to full. And they're only breathing in about the same amount of oxygen as a normal duplicate. So this means you can save on your oxygen consumption by sort of rationing your oxygen supplies to up here. It does cause some inconveniences, as in they keep having to run around, they'll drop their food, they'll, go to the bathroom, not be able to finish because they don't have enough oxygen, go back up and gasp for breath, run back in, can they use the bathroom? Nope, didn't quite make it, more oxygen required. Yep, full bar, they should be able to do it now. Can you? Can you? Yep, there we go. So as you can imagine, it makes them far less productive. They are much less productive, but it does cut down on their oxygen consumption by an enormous amount. Normally a duplicate consumes 100 grams of oxygen per second. Rationing, you can get it down as low as 10 grams of oxygen. 1/10 the oxygen costs. All it costs you is, your soul and your humanity, just a little bit. So they'll live in constant gasping agony, but at the same time, with one pipe of oxygen, which is 1,000 grams, normally capable of feeding 10 duplicates, you could instead keep oxygenated 100 duplicates. A single Rodriguez could keep about 300 duplicates oxygenated. This is ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. The savings you're making are just insane. And at the same time, they're quite happily able to survive in here. But there's more. Yeah, first up I suppose we'll tackle scheduling. You notice on the scheduling here there's no work. It's all either bath time, bedtime, and there's a couple of downtime slots to make sure they eat. This is just to do with... First I suppose we can start with the bathrooms and bladder. We'll check, say, the bladder on this one. Their bladder is at 35%. Turns out in the game, once a duplicant hits 40% bladder, they can and will use the bathroom if you offer them the opportunity to do so. Normally you'd only do it once a day, but in this instance we kind of want them to use it more than once. So this duplicant current has 40% bladder, and because they're on bath time, they'll go and use the toilet. This means you've doubled the amount of water they're producing, which is good, because you're not really getting much productivity out of them. You do get some power out of the wheel, but the wheel's not there for that. The wheel is to make sure that they are not standing in the oxygen pool. If you did not have some task for them to do in a non-oxygenated area, they'd try and stand inside the oxygen area, and it would, consume all the oxygen and they'd suffocate and die. It would be bad. Also, there's a couple of bedtime slots spread out there so that they have more chances to get in some sleep. You don't want them running out of stamina, or they'll just pass out wherever they are and probably suffocate and die. So lots of downtime slots for sleeping were put in. I encountered a little bit of a bug on load up. Like, I was able to run this for about 70 cycles or so with no issues, but then on a load, one of the duplicants immediately suffocated because they fell asleep somewhere. It messed up on load. So I put in extra sleeping spots to try and counteract that. This would require more testing, of course, if we were to get into it further. However, getting back into the horrors. This whole thing is self-powered, as in the amount of power they generate keeps these batteries happily going. I plugged in some fridges just to put a bit of load on the line, but they can handily keep all the fridges going for ever and ever and ever. But it gets a little darker. For example, this duplicant here is quite normal. This duplicant over here has a small bladder, because a small bladder I thought would help a little bit in the amount of polluted water they're producing. And it did to an extent. They produced about 1,029 kilos. This one is behind by a small fraction of an amount, maybe about 50, 60, 70 or so kilos per tile. However, over here we have Meemaw. Meemaw has the biohazardous trait, meaning they keep getting sick. They get sick an awful lot easier than everyone else. And oh wow, she has 140 kilos extra over there. She beat everyone in terms of the amount of polluted water produced, because there's no sink. And because there's no sink, germs get everywhere, and she keeps catching food poisoning. And dupes with food poisoning, their bladder goes up by a plus 200%. So instead of 100% bladder, it's 300%, meaning they're more likely to use the bathroom. Well, they'll use the bathroom an awful lot more. Yes, so get some biohazardous people, stick them in here, and you could actually run quite a nice water-positive production facility. How much, though? This is the water that was produced, so you have to take into account, this is, you would have to recycle at least 5 kilos per flush. So doing a bit of math and messing around, we've got another little visual representation here. This is how much water they produced in 65 cycles. I had to run it long enough to get a good, baseline. But in 65 cycles, they produced about 3,300 kilos of water, roughly. Now, over here is how much water it takes for them to actually oxygenate themselves. If we took the polluted water they were having, sieve it, then turn it into oxygen in an electrolyzer and feed it back to them, this is how much oxygen it would take to feed them, or how much water it would take to keep them oxygenated. So they're actually producing more water than they're consuming. This is a water-positive process, which is incredible. Not only that, they would have this much leftover water on top of that we could use for other purposes. And this over here is how much water it would take to keep one duplicant oxygenated for 65 cycles. Turns out, if we had, the calculations are going to be a bit off. You wouldn't have everyone being biohazardous. That would be almost impossible to achieve. But if you had about 7, maybe 8 duplicants, you would produce enough excess water from this to keep one duplicant fully oxygenated. Which means you could say, imagine 8 of these rooms in a row, and then one room at the very end would have one duplicant who's got oxygen, and their job would be to starvation ranch shovelholes. Those shovelholes would, of course, be, wouldn't require any input. To keep all of these fed, was it for 8 duplicants, 10 duplicants would it be? For, say, 10 duplicants, it's 1.6 shovels a dupe, so yeah, about 16 shovels, say 20 shovels. We'll put 20 shovels in there. One rancher, even with a level 3 ranching skill base to start, could easily ranch 20 shovels. And give them a grill, and they could cook up any barbecue that comes out of the shovels, and then give them an atmosuit dock so they can run through here. They would be the only one allowed through, and they could stock up people's fridges. That way you would have food being produced inside this closed loop system that was infinite. You would have oxygen being produced inside this closed loop system that is infinite. The only thing that would be required from outside would be filtration medium for the water sieve. However, there's probably ways around that as well. We could use the power from this to boil water to make oxygen, though I'm not sure. I'd need to do a feasibility check just to make sure that was possible. However, there are some downsides to this build, to this particular build. And if the Hague call, tell them I'm out. I'm out, and I'm out indefinitely and will not be back. Yeah, the downside is all of my duplicates in this playthrough have patron names. And, do I really want to put Patreons inside what's effectively, a not very pleasant, non-voluntary hotel where they're basically squeezed for moisture and power? This is like a power positive water positive process, and it seems kind of evil, I want to just say. So I think we'd need volunteers. I would literally need patrons to volunteer to go into this hotel. I think if we did this, it would sort of be a combination of multiple factors. Actually, let's stop looking at this for a while. Okay, that's a much better view to look at. Less torturous. What I'm trying to do here is we're going to excavate out this side of the map, namely to see if this is viable for a rocket chimney. We want to make sure there's no neutronium tight up against the edge of the walls. For example, over here, if we tried to do a rocket chimney, this would get in the way. That neutronium there, we can't get rid of that. So we're kind of perversely hoping there's no neutronium on this side, which means no vents or geysers. If there is more water sources, I'm not going to complain. It'll just make rocket chimney positioning a little bit more problematic. So I suppose at the end of the day, we're going to end up combining a bunch of features. And by that I mean, well, a sour gas boiler we can't really do. The reason being it takes up a lot of space is not the problem. It's so much the amount of processing power required to run one would hurt our computer so much it would make running a large amount of duplicates more difficult. So is a rocket chimney, but a rocket chimney provides an awful lot more water in return. It's more cost benefit. But a petroleum boiler is probably a good idea. The reason being, not so much to run the oil wells and get the oil out of there to run to the petroleum, but all of this crude oil down here, we can double the amount of water we get out of it by running it through a petroleum boiler. And since it's early enough on, we haven't maxed out on duplicates yet, we could probably run quite a bit of it through. And that would help stretch our water supplies. What we want to do is stretch the excess water we're going to have and use that to get us all the way up to the rocket chimney, which will eventually solve our problems. So it's all just stopgap stuff to help us get there. Because a rocket chimney requires an awful lot of advanced material, including insulation, which requires, well, reed fiber, which we don't have a lot of. We're going to have to dismantle a bunch of slime biomes. Now, at the same time, I think there was one other project I need to work on. Yes, that was it. We want to expand out our dining facilities here. The reason being we're almost out of space for duplicants. You know what, while we're here, we're going to renovate all the hanging pots as well. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, I stuck in a bunch of buddy buds all over the place. And if you look around, there is floral scent germs just pretty much saturating the entire area. Everyone's got the smelled flowers buff, which it reduces stress. We don't need it, but, it's there, so why not take advantage of it? How is our digging over here going? Ah, yes, excellent. Let's see if we can find anything else over this side of the map. I doubt it. I think we've pretty much tapped all the vents and geysers we're going to find, but we might as well continue exploring. Just ran into a minor issue. Oxygen generation was down a bit, so I double-checked on our oxygen production. And where is it? One of our pipes was empty, and this got me confused. And it turns out I made a power transformer out of copper ore over here, which eventually overheated and cut off, which resulted in the power going to specifically these electrolyzers shut down, which meant these pumps weren't getting oxygen. Yeah, that was hurting our oxygen production. I did the same on both of these, so we're going to go back in there, deconstruct those, and replace them with gold ones. Much better. All shiny gold. And oxygen flow should... Okay, here we go. Full pipe coming back down again. It's the little things that will get you in this game every single time. Now, where were we? We were... yes, this is almost finished. It actually should be done. Are you? Yeah, great hall. Great hall. Oh, we do have to finish these though. I may have to do some plant moving around to get everyone up to optimum efficiency, but I think that will be plenty of decor. You know what? Let's stick in some diamond window tiles between here. Then we can let the decor from the bottom floor affect the dupes on the top. With that in place along there, we can share the decor across. Now, are we just about ready for our next duplicate? I think we are. They'll be along any moment now. Say hello to our newest gopher / patron, number 61, Ken Zhao. Ken, you will be going straight into picking stuff up and moving it around. Where are we doing over here? Oh, we've seen the edge of the map. Let's keep seeing some more. Lots and lots of dig commands. That's going to take them a while to do. And by a while, I mean probably about 2 or 3 cycles. There's so many of them at this point, it's kind of getting ludicrous. Also, what was that? Combat? What are you fighting? Oh, I think I told them to kill one of those nasty morbs. I don't want them putting any more slime lung germs out. At the same time, I think we're going to have to get oxygen from the bottom of the map. And wait, how did you get in there? There's no. How? There's doors. Okay, we'll get you wrangled up and brought back in. They probably got dropped as someone was dragging them around to the correct location. I'm pretty sure we've got a few of them down here as well. You can also get wrangled up. And let's make sure all of these ranches are full. I selectively went through and wiped out all the old hatches and just replaced them all with stone. It seemed like the smart thing to do so that we wouldn't end up with a massive... Oh, wow. I've just noticed our sedimentary rock has actually gone up. And where's our coal? Our coal is at 469 tons. Something to be said about having an excess of ranches. Over here we're trying to, well, dig in closer to the edge of the map. We want to go down here and see what else is there. Up top a little bit further. Wow, it takes a while to scroll now. Up top we're also digging in here and demolishing this whole biome. The reason being we want to collect all that water and then come in across the top here and demolish this slime biome. There's a massive slime biome down here that we want to take out because, well, we want more mushrooms, I suppose. How much slime have we got left? 75 tons. Okay, we're going through our slime a little bit quickly, but we can fix that. Nearly got this one finished, and down here we're starting to cut into the slime biome. Hopefully we can find if there's anything behind this blackness. I'm hoping there's not a vent for this moment, which is a bit odd. Now, new duplicant choices. Well, for negatives, they both have irritable bowel, and the other one has a small bladder on top of that. Grease monkey, I think we've got I don't need any more artists, so I'm thinking another rancher. So, say hello to duplicant/patron number 62, Trail of Tears, which almost seems appropriate considering the... considering how horrific our start was to this episode for some of the options we discussed. Though I would like to point out, some of the options recommended in the comments were pretty dark themselves. Like, oh, find all crying dupes and vomiter dupes, trap them in rooms, stress them out, and then, you know, make them vomit and cry all the time. That seemed... no, that was just... like, I may have played RimWorld, but I'm not that bad. We'll finish off this slime biome anyway. That will give us hopefully more food for a while longer and find out if there's anything in that dark patch. Well, before we can finish all of that up and, where is it, all of this up, we have another duplicant to choose from. So let's see what we've got going on for duplicant/patron number 63. Ooh, look at that, a biohazardous pacifist, but they've got Twinkle Toes machinery and athletics. They'll make a good mechatronics engineers. You can never have too many of those. So say hello to Reinhard Gentz. Gentz? Reinhard Gentz, I'm going to go. Gentz, I'm going to go with. Welcome number 63. We're going to have to search out your scheduling and a few other things. While we're doing... Oh, before we do that, quick look around here. We have found another vent or geyser here. However, it's so close to the neutronium at the edge of the map, it's probably been overwritten. I doubt there's going to be anything in there, but we'll have a look. And if we go up here, we found another vent or geyser inside the ice biome. That's far enough away from the edge. There's probably something in there. So, yeah, let's find out what's behind those two, shall we? I think we'll start with this one down here because it'll be the most disappointing, of course. We have run into a minor issue on our way down here. Someone has fallen in a hole. Flavored jeans, unfortunately. The ladders were put across here, but somehow they fell down before the ladders went in, or I don't know. Somehow they did this to themselves. We need to figure a way out of here. What is your skill set? Super hard digging. Excellent. That means we can at least get you some materials and maybe you can build your way out of here before you run out of oxygen. Construction level of 6. Okay, that could be better. Excavation of 15. Oh, you know what? You can dig out the necessary materials. I don't think you can dig your way out of here before you suffocate, but you might be able to dig up enough to get yourself some ladder segments. Let me have a think. The plan. I think we have one. Right. Duplicant digs out this tile. That allows them to jump up 2 tiles to get on top of that, which should allow them to jump up to there, which also allows them to jump up to there, which will allow them to build that ladder chunk. There is some igneous rock right there. So, let's slow this all the way down. Okay, we need to pause as well in between. The reason being, duplicants are getting a bit weirded out, as in it takes them time before they decide to pick up their next task. Okay, come on, flavored jeans. Yep, perfect. Once that ladder segment is done. Perfect. Now, just in case there's any issues, we're going to see if they can't pick up the next one. Will they? I think they are. They could actually build their whole way out of here, but someone comes along to get along. Someone shows up to build that. Now, come on. Come on. Now, I'm going to need you to Oh, you're already moving? That's perfect. No stress at all. That was fine. Just fine. Just easy peasy. Easy peasy. I'm not losing any more duplicates. I still remember flavor genes going down. Much more careful next time. Much more. Almost done there. Let's get around to seeing what's in this vent geyser over here. We have finally made it down here. It took a little bit of priority building, but that does not look like a water vent. That looks disturbingly like polluted oxygen, or maybe, no, not hydrogen. It's not red. It's sort of brownish. Yeah, I'm going to go with polluted oxygen. Or hot polluted oxygen. We're kind of lucky, actually, in a way. That shouldn't have existed. Normally when they're this close to the edge of the map, they get written over or overwritten. This one actually exists. I'm kind of surprised. Well, then we'll prioritize getting that built right now, or dig out right now. Never mind. Chlorine gas vent. Okay, so we have lots and lots of chlorine. You know, we should... Oh, damn it, did I misaligned those. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I should have those ladder segments down the tile. Well, with that explored and determined to be not a thing we can use for any oxygen. Is there anything else down here? Nope. I think we've explored as much as we're going to find. There is a nice ice biome down there we can melt. When it comes to water, we're not really that short-strapped. We have plenty of pools of the stuff lying around the place. So over here and here, so we do have time. Oh, and that ice biome is also melting quite nicely. So we do have time to actually, you know, get things in place. Now over here, we're almost finished with this slime biome. At the same time, it's time to find out what's going on inside that vent. Before we finished up here, it's just, there's a lot of excavation going on. There's some over there, some down here. We've pretty much demolished all of that, and I think we're going to stretch out all of that. But yes, before all of that can get done, we first need to deal with another round of printables. Now, we've got trypophobia, allergies, and irritable bowel. So, no allergies, preferably. I think we've already hired someone who's got allergies, which, yeah, it's not very good for them, unfortunately. This leaves us with 2 duplicates. This patron has dreams of becoming an aerospace technician, so we're going to go with someone who can become a mechatronics engineer. So, please welcome to the team number 64, Casey Dunham. So, Casey will be becoming our mechatronics engineer for us, helping out the team. Let's see, how close are we to finishing this yet? We just got to get down here and say hello to this vent. Well, our digging is complete. Someone managed to dig out that little chunk, and it's a natural gas geyser. No more water. Damn it, damn it, damn it. If they were going to block my rocket chimney, they might as well, you know, have had the decency to be water. Well, with that done, I think it's time we just excavated the last of this. We've got a bunch of stuff over here and a bunch of stuff over here. It's just time to clear this up and make sure we know exactly what we're dealing with before we make any commitments to long-term plans. You know, time is flying a little bit too fast, if you ask me. We've barely even gotten started on this, and already it's time for another duplicate. In all fairness, though, I was over, where was it? I was trying to bring these other 2 these 2 metal refineries online by dumping oil into them. We have people on the way right now to drop off more crude oil as coolant. But, new printables. Right, let's see here. Well, we're getting an narcoleptic, one way or the other. Okay, so it's definitely a narcoleptic. I think we'll leave out the trypophobic, and we've got... Oh, do we need another one? You know what, no. We'll go for one with 2 options. So we've got suit wearing and building with this one. They can at least be cross-skilled, so say hello to Cramble. Duplicants last patron number 65. Damn, we're getting up there. Also, the game is getting much, much more chuggish. We have to stop it occasionally to let the duplicants catch up. As in, they'll start to do something and then they sort of pause there like Andy does. And unless you pause the game, they sort of wig out and don't know what to do next. Like, there's James Pickering there and they take a second. Yeah, that's our next 400 kilos of oil. Let's get that into our refineries. With the last of that oil in that machine, we should be good to go to get all 5 of these running, though I'm not sure we really need it. With the introduction of 330 tons of lead, we have all the wiring we're ever going to need. How much gold do we have? 32 tons of gold, 59 tons of iron, and steel. Where did we put it? 23 tons of steel. That's the good thing about having found all the fossils. We've been crushing up all the fossils around the map, turning it into lime, and we have an actual backlog of the stuff. How much lime we got? 175 kilos, 6.1 tons of refined carbon. We're going to be churning out a lot of steel, which is good. We're going to have to tackle space soon enough. I've set this one up to refine some more iron, so that means we have 2 of them running flat out on iron, which is... Well, our power supply is doing quite well. I've reduced the battery percentage here so it'll stop at 20%, just so we can store some of the excess power this is producing. It really is quite handy setting up one of these systems. Now, where were we? Okay. Ooh, chugs. We are excavating over here and over here simultaneously, because of course we are. We have too many duplicates not to give them lots and lots of jobs everywhere. We're also going to put in an oxygen diffuser here to hopefully help them out. Can't have them going around gasping for breath all the time. The plan here, very simple. Dismantle this whole biome. All the water should end up flowing down here and into this ice biome, where it should hopefully melt it. And that melted ice biome we will then turn into oxygen at a later date. I think now is a good time to cover the bugs you're going to run into when you start getting this many duplicates. You notice that some of them are just stopping occasionally and doing nothing. It's not so much the gasping, it's if you pause, you can see that one there just suddenly decided it wants to dig. Okay, we'll try this again. Once they're finished, that one there has no idea what they're going to do. See, they kind of pause, they have to think, and then they move on. And it's slowly but surely, it's just the game's kind of slowing down. But if we pause them, they all suddenly decide what their job is, and then they'll have to go off and do it. A simpler way to do it is just to, let's say, catch these three up here. And you'll see they all, even after the pause, they all turn around and suddenly decide on a direction to go. Just one of those things you're going to have to get used to when your duplicate count gets up a little bit. Our little system seems to be working. All the water's going to flood down in here and hopefully melt that ice biome. Oh, I forgot to seal it up. There's always something. We'll just throw in a couple of quick igneous rock tiles there. Yeah, that should take care of that problem. And why is there water already leaking out of there? Honey, you always find a way to mess something up. Oh, we could almost pour that down. No. We'll pour it all in there, melt that whole biome, and then once it's melted, we'll go combine those pools into something else. There is just no respite. It's time for another duplicate. We've managed to cut through most of this. We're not quite at space, but we haven't encountered any more vents or geysers around here, though we have found ourselves another neural vacillator. I've got to put someone into that, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be something like that in there as well. Also, lots of reed fiber. What are we up to on reed fiber down here? Under industrial ingredients, we have 60 reed fiber. So we're doing quite well. Over here, we're almost up as far as space as well. You can see space on this corner, so we've almost run out of real estate on this side, though, but more reed fiber and more slime and more water. We're going to dump all of that in there. But first, let's see who our next duplicant is. Well, over here we have irritable bowel, twinkle toes, but animal husbandry +3. These would be very useful if we ever do decide to get into that hotel section. So please say hello to duplicant/patron number 66. We've got Meridian. Meridian, welcome to the team. We shall immediately stick you towards animal husbandry, I'm thinking. But I think the rest of this episode is going to be a little bit more coring out here. And now we have another neural vacillator and some lockers. You know what? At some point we have to get everyone a snazzy suit, though I don't think we'll have time just yet. We're going to need all that insulation for other things. Oh, wow. That is the edge of the map, and we finally made it up there. That took a while, though we have demolished quite a chunk of the map getting there. Now there's just this side of the map left, and I'm pretty sure we found all the geysers and vents over here. There's only this little stretch of the map that we haven't explored yet. So that, oh wow, those two have definitely got the sniffles. Sorry guys. They're going to be a lot slower over there. It's further away from the core base. Everything's really far away from our core base right now. Also, how's our calories looking? Calories are fine. I think our fried mushrooms are finally maxing out. We may have to put down some more fried mushroom farms to tide us over. I have currently turned off all barbecue. No one's allowed to eat barbecue and has not been allowed to eat barbecue since the start of the game. That just means we've been stockpiling that, so we have a nice big morale boost whenever we require it. Let's get the last of this done. One thing I have learned from the enormous amount of people getting themselves trapped is actually build ladders at a lower priority. For example, this duplicant here was trapped on this side, and they had access to some sedimentary rock. So I queued up a couple of ladders, but I made sure the ladders were priority 4 instead of priority 5 like everything else, meaning everyone else ignored them, and this duplicant being the only one that could access it, will build the ladder, allowing them to escape before they suffocate and die. Which, you know, helpful. Where were we over here? Yes, more slime needs to go. Time is moving too fast. I need more time. We've already got another printable coming up, and we haven't even finished the excavation here. It's just the duplicants are kind of humming and hawing, and they keep stalling out because there's too many of them now. We may have to start limiting movement of some of them just to cut down on that. But once that's all done, and that's all done, we can start restricting pathing. The downside is, though, normally I would do a giant sweep to clean up the map and help improve performance. But we can't really do that. A giant sweep takes, I think the last time I did a giant sweep, I turned it on, set the sweep up, and then left for like 6 to 8 hours until the sweeping was done. If we do that, well, yeah, we won't have any oxygen left by the time that happens. So instead, we are going to have to try and sweep as best we can. We may have to get some automation involved. Oh, you know what? I think some of this can go. Maybe not all of it. We do need that to fall down. Actually, you know what? We'll just leave that there. Once this is all gone, though, we should be finished there. And this is... We've even found the Veritas building. We just maybe do a little bit more excavation, but I severely doubt we've got any vents or geysers trapped in that tiny little unexplored area. I think we finally got the map covered. So let's just have a quick look at our newest duplicate. I think we have definitely got enough builders at this point. We don't want a mouth breather, a pacifist, uncultured. Yep, that will do. They've got husbandry, cooking and suit wearing as potential. So yeah, I think we'll put them into gophering for now, but we're definitely going to need them in there. Now that, I'm trying to... Is that Boydra? Boydra? Or, well, you could call it brother if you try to do that in sort of more of an English pronunciation, but I wouldn't say that's Boydra. Bodra? Never mind. I'm really learning. I'm not very good at pronouncing names the longer I play this. So please welcome Dupliant Patreon number 67, Boydra. Okay, that's what I'm committing to. But I'm out of time now. I would have liked to stay for another 3 duplicates longer, but that early demonstration of our potential water-saving mechanics kind of took up a bit of time. So that leaves the question, how should we proceed? I'm thinking we're definitely going to put together a bit of a petroleum boiler. We'll put a heat spike into the magma and make one that way. We don't have time to wait for a volcano to fill it up. And then we can start immediately turning all this crude oil into petroleum so that we can burn it off to make water. We don't really need the power, we just want the water. At the same time, we're going to have to start getting into space because we're going to need space materials if we want to put together a rocket chimney. And I'll have to do some prep work to figure out where we're going to put that rocket chimney. I don't think we can really do it there, and I think we can't really do it there. There's too much gunk in the way also. We may have to make a more centralized one, which is going to be really inconvenient. Maybe one down here or something. Oh, I'll figure it out later. But that still leaves whether or not we should put together the hotels. Personally, I do think the hotels are a little bit exploitative. We're really cutting down on the oxygen consumption requirements. However, it is an exploitation of game mechanics, which means it's technically fine. Look, all of that aside, what I would like to do is maybe not make a giant mass of these, but I would like to try at least one. Just one hotel with, say, 10 duplicants in it, make the whole thing self-contained, providing its own food, its own oxygen, everything recycled. But I would need 10 volunteers. I would need 10 people who volunteer their duplicants to do it. Also, I'd need those volunteers not to be all in the same profession. Say, if all my cooks decided, hey, yeah, I'd like to volunteer to be in the hotel, and then I have no cooks left. Yeah. But yeah, I would like to give it a go. I'll leave it up to the comments to decide, though. If you guys think we should make a small one of these, a big one of these, just how we should play around with it, or if we should just go straight for the rocket chimney and maybe throw in a petroleum boiler to keep us going, well, we'll leave that all up to you guys. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and good luck.